Good evening, humans. Tyrannosaurusmoth here, and tonight we're taking a look at the S.H. Monsterarts Godzilla -1 Godzilla figure from Bandai. Let's do this. Aesthetically speaking, this is a damn good looking figure. Not perfect, but damn good and pretty close. I mean, honestly, the amount of sculpt here is just insane. Just detail all over the place. I mean, it's Monsterarts. That's definitely something we've come to expect. The paint is just all over the place. In a good way. Like, it has that chaos that this design requires. And, I gotta say that this is definitely a great Godzilla design. I think the best Godzilla designs, basically, there goes the tail. That's Monsterarts. The best Godzilla designs basically look like sickness turned into rage. And this is very much that. They did a great job here. The spikes here just look very pointy. They are pointy, though I will point out, keep going with that. There's a little bit of flex to the tips, so they're not crazy. I wouldn't test that too much. However, like, you're not impaling your fingers on it, so that's kind of nice. And like it's not as abrasive to like hold as I thought it would be. And but I guess, again, in the, like, it's not perfect. I think the head is maybe slightly small, not egregiously so, but definitely not as proportionate as it should be compared to the design as it looks in the movie. I think it's slightly off. Again, it's not crazy. It's just slightly there. So there's that. But everything else here, just wonderful. Love it. Love that they kind of definitely captured the rest of the proportions. That paint and sculpt, just absolutely killer. And just really nice work all around here, as you can see. So, sculpt on the bottom of the feet as well, always welcome. Just, definitely like killer looking figure. Articulation here is very nice. And as you can see, we are holding a standing kick, not a freestanding kick. Obviously, we're landing on the tail. You can see it right there. But again, the range here is definitely kind of impressive, certainly in certain areas. But getting into the finer points, starting with the head, start off with that jaw and like get a pretty good roar going on here. You can see how wide that mouth opens. We do get an articulated tongue, which is a very welcome addition. That was one of the first things I noticed, and it was like really cool. So we come pretty far up, pretty far down. Just adds some of the expression. That's about how much we close. Then we have 1, 2, 3 ball joints here in the neck, and for up, not getting all the way up, we actually do get some pretty decent range. We're definitely looking up as opposed to our neutral right about here. I guess it depends on where you have the torso, but we get some really nice down. And again, you kind of play with the tensity, but be careful with it. So you get some really nice down. Not really any side to side. We are definitely running into the sculpt again, where sculpt is everywhere. That is going to be just something you kind of have to contend with. It's definitely par for the course with figure arts, or Monsterarts rather, and not really any rotation. That's probably the most unfortunate part there, I think, is just, you don't really get any turn. So there's that. We come to the arms. Not a perfect T, but we do come up pretty far. There is actually a bicep swivel. There's a ball joint right there. There's a ball joint right here at the elbows. Try not to push it too far, but we can get pretty much 90. We do have a ball joint here at the wrist, so we can go anywhere we want to. Then we come to the diaphragm, and we do have diaphragm joint and a waist joint, both ball joints. Try to get that to focus. So our crunch, can't go that far forward, go that far back. We're running into all of these spikes, which are kind of crazy. So they did them very economically though here. So we have like one segment has a row of spikes, second segment has a row of spikes, and so on. So that's very nice. Back, we can pretty much straighten out the back, which is nice. We do get some rotation as well there, so that is welcome. And then we get to the hips, and this is the most impressive part. We get pretty much full splits. I did not expect that out of a Godzilla figure, certainly not out of this version of Godzilla. So fantastic there. We can rotate all the way around. We come to the knees, and this is where we'll see if they pop out or not, but come about there. So kind of about 90. We can fully straighten out, which is very, very nice. And then I was wishing for a little bit more here at the upper foot. There is a pretty much getting more or less rotation there, unfortunately, not really like a lot of bend. Then we get to the toes, and they are all individual ball joints all around for those toes, and that's crazy. That apparently the new thing between the Axie Toys Bloodblade and this one, like we're getting individual ball jointed toes, kind of cool. And then we come to the tail, and ball joint, all these ball joints, and done very nicely. Tensity is nice. I've only popped the tail out like once or twice, but we get some very nice natural curves and flow. Oh, there we go. I tested it too much. But yeah, the tolerance is definitely better than it's been on other Monsterarts Godzillas I've had. So yeah, really good articulation going on here. Getting into size comparisons, here he is with various Godzilla lines, including a Bandai Sofubi, NECA, Super 7, and Mezco 5 points. With some domestic figures. With some imports. With some other monsters. Finally, with articulated icons, Oni and yours truly in human form as a Valverse Action Force figure. So my final thoughts on the S.H. Monsterarts Godzilla -1 Godzilla figure from Bandai is, this is definitely a great figure. The $140 question is, does it justify the price? And I gotta say, I don't necessarily think so. There's absolutely no accessories here. The sculpt is beautiful, but the small head kind of throws it off for me. Certainly if you're coming from outside, being familiar at all with Monsterarts, the frustration with the articulation is going to be a pain point. So yeah, it's worth considering. And yeah, I don't know. It's a really good figure, but I don't think it really justifies the price, to bottom line. However, Super 7 does have one coming out later this year, or at least as of right now, it's supposed to be later this year. We'll see if that changes. But when that happens, I will definitely be putting this and that figure toe to toe. And though the philosophies, both in design, engineering, etc., are very different between these two companies, I'm kind of interested to see how they measure up. And if you are, and you're kind of holding off and waiting, then I invite you to subscribe right now, because I will absolutely be doing a plastic combat between this and the Super 7 Ultimates when that finally arrives. And yeah, I like this figure. I don't love it as much as I was hoping I would. But I don't know if the Super 7 is going to rise above that, or maybe just kind of meet it on equal ground. So we'll see. But ultimately, if everything you saw in this review was good and you decide you want to pick this up, I will have a link or two in the description below for where to pick this up. It is available on various online resources at the moment. And yeah, so that will be there. But ultimately, again, I hope you join me again, because I do multiple reviews a week of action figures related to tokusatsu, dinosaurs, monsters, pro wrestling, and more. So if any of that appeals to you, if all of that appeals to you, come on back. Let's talk some more plastic. Let's escape this thing of a world at the moment. And yeah, ultimately, let's just, enjoy toys. And at the end of the day, I just hope you're well. I hope that all of your toy dreams come true. And most importantly, I hope that you and yours stay weird, simians.